How's it going, comic book fans? Welcome back to another minute-ish review on Cafeteria Drops. You know, I didn't think things could get any worse from Valiant and Alien books after reading the steaming pile that was Livewire and the Secret Weapons. Well, Valiant apparently watched that previous video, said hold my beer, and commissioned some poor creative team to produce Fate Returns #1. When I say that this title is an absolutely absurd joke, I mean it. The jokes literally write themselves with this release. So how bad is Fate Returns issue #1? Stay tuned to find out the horrifying truth. Alright, first let's take a look at this so-called story that Fate Returns #1 has. So on writing duties for this run of Fate is Jody Hauser, who has handled multiple other runs of this series. So how does Hauser handle the adventures of Valiant's body positivity superhero who's a big fan of Hillary Clinton? Oh, I don't want to put you through this, but I am. Before I get to anything else, I just want you guys to hear the first line of the synopsis of this comic. It's really an inside joke, it has to be. It's inside the cover and it states, Fate's world crumbled under the weight of a wrongful accusation. Really, Valiant? I mean, this is some low-hanging fruit when it comes to making fun of Faith. But the jokes continue to write themselves throughout the entirety of this joke of a story. So the comic opens with Faith living in disguise, because the villainous group, the Faithless, just the name makes me want to cringe, framed her for murder. After this revelation, everyone just hates Faith, with even TV documentaries being made about her fall from grace. So essentially, she's being treated in her own book like most of the Valiant fandom treats her. I, for one, pretend she doesn't exist. Anyways, after leaving work one day, a vehicle drives frantically up to Faith and stops only for General Capshaw herself to urge Faith to climb in. Faith again laments that her reputation is shot again, just like reality. I mean, I haven't met a single person who likes Faith. Capshaw promises to make the murder charge go away if Faith will agree to help her out. Now keep in mind, the whole Valiant situation is going on, and Capshaw has direct lines to the Eternal Warrior, Tama the Geomancer, Shadow Man, Quantum and Woody, Archer and Armstrong, Exo Man-O-War, and many other heavy hitters in the Valiant universe. Why in God's name is she turning to the single most useless superhero, and I use that term loosely here, for help? Maybe the writer is making a cruel joke here. I mean, I'm not really sure. Of course, the well-liked, awesome action comic duo of Archer and Armstrong has to be brought into this mess as well. Valiant, do you just like ruining all that is sacred in your universe? And after the meeting, they travel to Las Vegas to find a magician named Magic Mouse. Lame. Who can help them find the other members of the Faithless because he's renounced his villainous ways to entertain literally 2 audience members with magic tricks. I'm not kidding. At this point, I just wanted to give up. In fact, I was about to request a refund from the eBay seller I bought this book from. Why? Because I ordered a comic book, not a pile of dog crap. However, I decided to continue to wade through this narrative filth because I like you guys, and I don't wish this experience on anyone. Suddenly, Magician Guy spawns a demon out of a hat and Faith changes into her overly generic costume on stage, only to have the demon throw a slot machine at her. That's great. Here we go, I'm rooting for the demon in this fight. Let's go, poorly drawn demon. Unfortunately, my wish for Faith to be defeated was not granted by the Valiant gods, and Archer shoots a crossbow bolt with a vase attached to it at the demon, and the demon gets sucked in. Who knew it was that easy to capture a demon? Then Magician Guy gives Faith a red jewel that transports her Archer and Armstrong to New York because the Faithless are there or something. I'm not really sure. The issue ends with the phrase, "Faith takes a bite out of the Big Apple. To be continued." You know, there's a joke here, but I think that fruit is already lying on the ground, so I'm just going to leave it laying right there. Overall, Valiant, why do you do this? This story is absolutely insufferable and torturous to read through. Even appearances by my two favorite Valiant characters can't save this excrement. If I'm going to be specific, the characters lack any development, the villains are essentially non-existent, the pacing is boring, and again, it stars the Valiant character that everyone hates. Stop pushing this character, please. In fact, I would argue that compared to other Valiant heroes, Faith is as useless as can be, and only continues to be pushed to pander to certain demographics, if you know what I mean. And another thing, Valiant, why in God's name would you give Faith Returns #1 22 pages to tell its insufferable story, and only give the Valiant's #1 18 pages to do the same? One is your flagship series, Road to Resurgence, kicking off this new event, and the other one is a character nobody likes. The logic here makes no sense. Oh, well, I don't really want to, but let's take a look at the visuals for Faith Returns #1. Are they as bad as the story? Well, yes, they are actually. Maybe even slightly worse, if that's possible. In Faith Returns #1, the art and colors are handled by the same person, namely Alita Vidal, whose credits include books for Dark Horse, DC Comics, and Alter Comics. It can't be that bad, right? Well, first off, Alita, I just want to express my sympathy for your situation. You came over to Valiant with the best of intentions, only to be given the worst character and the worst book I have ever read to draw and color. And I'm not exaggerating on that worst book ever comment. Unfortunately, I guess the quality of the terrible story rubbed off on the artist. Now, like I said in the beginning, I thought that Livewire and the Secret Weapons had bad art, but this book might even be worse. Characters' body proportions are all out of whack. Faces look like they have been stretched needlessly, and hands, feet, and facial details are inconsistent throughout the entirety of the book. And for some reason, characters also have this strange comic coloring book look to them. And another thing, the immense tragedy of how they made Armstrong look in this issue just makes my Valiant fan heart hurt. Why, Valiant? You're supposed to resurge. This is Resurgence. Road to Resurgence. Can't you just do this right? Just take a look at some of these other examples of the pinnacle of comic art in this issue. The colors don't fare too well either, although I will say that they are better than the story and the art. The problem here is the overly simplistic look of everything. It really looks like Vidal put in the absolute smallest amount of effort she could coloring this book. After flattening the panels, it looked like maybe 1 or 2 degrees of tinting and shading was used to render each page, making it look completely cheap. If there was anything positive I could say here, it would be that the colors are vibrant, but that's stretching it for sure. On the visual side of things, there is really only one positive I can point out for Faith Returns #1. The trade dress is excellent again. Valiant and Alien books seem to have this down to a science. The cover is thick cardstock and the pages are thick and glossy. Now, if they can just actually produce a comic worth reading and make it visually captivating. Okay, let's wrap up this soiled baby diaper of a comic review. To summarize my points on Faith Returns #1 by Jody Hauser and Alita Vidal, do not, I repeat, do not buy this book. Do not support Valiant and Alien books putting out crap like this. The only positive of this book is the trade dress. The cons are numerous, and they include it has faith in it, the story is boring, the villains are stupid, the art and colors are terrible, and they ruined Armstrong in the worst way possible. If you're a Valiant fan and you actually want to pick up this book, just remember to wash your hands afterwards because you might get pink eye from touching this much fecal matter. All right, that wraps up my review of Faith Returns #1. I think I've crapped on this character enough for one day at this point, but really, Valiant, why is it so important that you continue to push this character? Can someone please explain it to me? Please comment on this video. I'm seriously confused at this point and want to know a serious answer. And maybe some Valiant fans and faithful Cafeteria Drops viewers can let me know in the comments what you think about Faith Returns #1. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Valiant Comics goodness. We can only go up from here, guys. All right? And that's why I'm staying positive about next week's release, Exo Manowar Invictus. See you guys next time.